So the scene went something like this. The Romans looked prayerfully into the eyes of the chickens and said these sacred words. When you find yourself in danger, when you're threatened by a stranger, when it looks like you will take a licking, buck, 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 call on sacred chicken, buck-ick. Call on sacred chicken, buck-ick. Welcome back to Coin Story. I'm Pete. It's time for some time traveling history fiascos. This is the only podcast where we fire up the time machine and drag historical figures out of bed and ask them, what in Jupiter's name were you thinking? Today, I've got the Chick-fil-A of stories for you. But first, let's take a look at our coins. First up, we've got a Greek Litra from Syracuse in Sicily, dated between 275 and 215 BC. This one was minted right in Syracuse during the reign of King Huron II. On the obverse, you got the head of Huron II facing left. Now, on many surviving examples, the portrait's pretty worn down, not much detail left. But the general profile is still visible. Flip it over to the reverse, and you'll see a trident. That's Neptune or Poseidon's, depending on your preference. It's a clear symbol of Syracuse's naval power. Sometimes you'll see Greek inscriptions flanking the trident. The flashpoint of the Punic War was the island of Sicily, and the Greek city-state of Syracuse was a close ally of Rome. Now let's move over to Mysia, located in modern-day Turkey. This is a Greek Litra from the city of Adramyttium, dated roughly between 300 and 201 BC. On the obverse is the head of Zeus facing right. He's shown with the laurel wreath, full beard, the usual dignified god look. On the reverse, we have a horseman riding to the right. The figure is typically shown in motion. Mysia was also an ally of Rome during the First Punic War. These coins could have possibly been in the pocket of Roman soldiers from this period. Now back to our story. It's a tale of hubris, poultry, and a catastrophic naval failure. We're talking about the time Publius Claudius Pulcher went toe to toe with the gods and some chickens. It all went down in 253 AD during the First Punic War. Rome's got ships, Carthage has ships. So, what does Rome do before the battle? Consult the sacred chickens, of course. Because nothing screams naval superiority like poultry based prophecy. These weren't just any birds, these were trained augury chickens, Rome's sacred military intelligence division. A box of chickens. They were trained to eat barley before battle. If they ate heartily, it was a divine thumbs up. The gods say, "Fight on, brave Romans." If they didn't eat, big cosmic red flag. The gods say, maybe don't. So the scene went something like this. The Romans looked prayerfully into the eyes of the chickens and said these sacred words. When you find yourself in danger, when you're threatened by a stranger, when it looks like you will take a licking, buck, 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 call on sacred chicken, buck-ick. Call on sacred chicken, buck-ick. So the sacred words have been said, the barley is offered, and the chickens just stare at it. No pecking, nothing. Total silence. Any sane commander would have said, okay, bad omen, let's hold off. But not Pulcher. No. Pulcher takes one look at these divine birds and says, if they don't eat, let them drink. Yep, he threw the sacred chickens into the sea. And the Carthaginians absolutely wiped the sea with them in the Battle of Drepana. They lost over 90 ships. 90! Rome went from sea power to sea shanty. Pulcher, oh, he got dragged back to Rome, put on trial for impiety. I mean, you drowned God's birds. That's not just bad PR, that's divine litigation. He got off on a technicality, but don't worry, the chickens came home to roost. He died not long after, mysteriously, probably choked on his KFC. So, what's the moral of the story? Always respect divine poultry. They may be chickens, but they cluck for the gods. He ignored divine predictions and lost his fleet in shame, all because he drowned some birds and put all his eggs in one basket. He thought he was going to rule the roost and ended up with egg on his face. You're going to hate me after this, aren't you? That's our episode of Coin Story. Thanks for being here for our stroll down history lane of Rome's most famous chicken disaster. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the program. And don't ignore the chickens. I hope this episode didn't lay an egg. And remember, every coin has a life and story to tell if you're patient enough to listen. Welcome to Coin Story. I'm Pete. Coin Story focuses on the history of a single coin. Coins move through the ages from hand to hand and from decade to century. These coins represent the work and culture of the people that own them. Every coin has a story to tell if you're patient enough to listen. Take a little time out of your day and join me for a walk back in time. Every coin has a life, and each coin tells a story.